Hey, it's Bobby. Hey, that was great. AJ coming by. Loved it. All right, man. Talk to you a little later. Roxy Blue just swinging by. So our next guest is here. Is Ace Von Johnson. Good. All right. So I'm going to flip this around in a minute. I'm going to get the mistress of master ceremony, Mr. Punk. You can take on.
Pick some fun things.
So we're just getting our gears on. Real quick, you want to use headphones? Okay, so I'm using lap mics. Instead of people going, I just got it straight up. No, just hold it.
Just hold it like a cigarette.
Hold it like that. Yeah, like a.
Here's the fucking deal, brother.
No, or you know, and look, if you want to hold it the other way, go. It does have a clip on it. If you could, no, I said if you want to put a.
Oh, a roach.
Yeah.
All right.
I gotcha. All right, so we're going to flip it over to here, to the master.
Right on, Metal Summoners. We're back, man. We're going to launch right into it. As always, your Island of Misfit Toys. We got Psycho Steve, Bobby, Angel, Jay. We are being joined by guitarist extraordinaire, my buddy, my bro, my family, Ace Von Johnson.
Yes.
Great to see you again, brother. It's been a minute.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely been a minute.
Long
minute.
Long
minute. Yeah, nice to be seen. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
It's great. Last time we seen each other was M3.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it's been good, man. You played last night at the All-Star Jam, and you're making your way around RockNPod here in Nashville.
Yeah.
You know, talking to some people, you know, shaking some babies,
Kissing some hands.
and
Yes,
all
sir.
that kind of stuff, man. But
yeah.
Overall, how's your experience been?
This is great. This is my first RockNPod. I'm having a really good time. Everybody's been super cool. I have a hard time talking about myself for this long.
Sure.
Right? But I'm having a really good time. Everybody's been super, it's just Southern hospitality.
Absolutely.
So I love that, and nice to see some friends.
Absolutely, man. So
And
good to
likewise. And bust Don Jameson's balls and Izzy Presley, and I'm over there with Rackman, and,
That's our fucking heroes growing up, which is the coolest thing in the world.
It's funny because I don't think I've ever talked about this openly, but Ricky's my best friend, like hands down, like 3 closest friends in the world. And in the 90s, he was the co-host early on Loveline on K-Rock in LA.
Right.
And I'm an Angelino. I grew up there, born and raised. And so Ricky taught me, him and Dr. Drew, inadvertently about sex. Birds and the bees and STDs and all that and other stuff. And so maybe about a year into our friendship, I was like, hey, man, like, I don't want to be weird, but, like, I learned about, like, chlamydia from you, right? And he was like, yeah, like, not to make this friendship weird, but...
Or closer.
And he learned
closer.
it at the Rainbow,
He learned about it at the Rainbow and Cat House, exactly.
I was going to say, did he
why
learn
is this
it from
burning?
The cat house?
Yeah.
Why does my pee burn?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll let him tell those stories. But, yeah, so this is just a great event. Everybody's super cool, having a good time.
Awesome, man. Right on. Steve.
All right, so this is your second LA Guns album, right? You were on the first, the one that's coming out.
Devil You Know.
And the Devil You Know.
Yeah, the live album, and then the studio album in the fall, Checkered
Right,
Past.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I lost count. And there's an EP as well.
Right.
The covers
so
EP.
this is your fourth, technically.
Christmas EP, yeah. Was it Another Christmas in Hell? So this, at the end of the year, I'll have 4 LA Guns
Under
releases.
the belt, right.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate. Phil emailed me a copy of
the new record.
Cannibal.
Oh,
Incredible.
yeah. You told me that.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I just want to know, as far as now that you live here and they're over there, are you just like emailing you tracks,
Well,
or how
Tracy
does
did all his stuff in Denmark.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Phil's in Vegas.
Right.
And I think at the time Coogan was traveling around, and basically the entire record was done predominantly remotely. So, it's 2020, whatever year it is, 2050 or whatever fucking year this is.
Right.
So, we did everything remotely. Some of the early pre-production stages was done, in the same room, or at least pieces of it. But
Yeah.
in the middle of a pandemic, when our guy's stuck in Europe and our singer's in Vegas and I'm in Nashville, it was just like, let's just do everything however we can and we'll get it done. So it was cool. It was sort of an interesting, almost like a litmus test to see how the album comes out, having never even, I'm an old school guy. I'm like, okay, you, me, and the guys, we get in the room and we bang these songs out and we flesh them out, or that chorus should be 2 instead of 4, or whatever. Or I like that harmony part. But this was just sort of like, I'm gonna email you a WAV file and hope you like it. So there was that kind of vibe, and I think it turned out great. I'm pretty happy with the album. I know the other guys are, and new album, whatever.
Sweet. So you've made the transition from being an LA guy to a Nashville guy.
Yeah.
What has been the most challenging?
The fucking weather. As an LA guy, my whole life, I got 30 odd years of just like, oh, it's a chilly 72, brr. And I moved here in the middle of like the worst snowstorm. Like, they're like, well, we got 12 days of snow. And I didn't mind that. I like the cold. What I don't like is hot. And what I like even less than that is humidity. Fuck this stuff, man. I don't mind being 90 outside. I like it. I could just go outside in some shorts. But what I don't like
with chlamydity.
Yeah, exactly. And my old mistress. And so, to me, the humidity factor is what I take 5 steps out on my porch. I'm standing on my deck and I'm going, why am I sweating? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So that's probably my only qualm, But otherwise, I mean, I love it here. I've been coming out here for 15 years for work, and in my past time or off time, I should say, for about 7 or 8 years, I go stay with Tony Higbee from Tom Kiefer's band and a bunch of other friends here. Just coming in and out of town, and I knew I was going to move here. I think I started talking about moving here about 2014. So it wasn't just I didn't just decide wake up one day with a hair up my ass. I just was like, you know what? There's a pandemic. I'm not working right now. I don't have to be anywhere. I'm paying out the nose for this apartment in Hollywood, and I hate it. It's miserable. They're stay-at-home order, and just LA turned into Night of the Living Dead, and I just wanted to get out. So I did, and that was it.
That's right on. Angel, back to you, sir.
You have a lot of musicians that live in Nashville. Are there any musicians that you would like to collaborate with?
Oh, man, that's such a long list. Funny enough, I mentioned Tony Higbee. He and I are talking, and we did the jam together with Rackman last night. He and I are talking about doing some stuff, maybe like a side project or something, sort of like in the Danko Jones sort of rock punk vibe. But I mean, as far as people I'd love to collaborate with that like I don't maybe necessarily have that close of a rapport with, I'd like to do something, and I don't want to say it so on the nose, but I'd like to do something that's not like an 80s band related. So just like I put out, I guested on a friend's album yesterday. It's like an EDM electronic, like Depeche Mode kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's called Empty Streets.
Nice.
My buddy Aaron, he goes by the Small Hands, but he's this.
Aaron Small Hands.
Yeah. I've known Aaron since I was 16.
Awesome.
We go back. So before he was a famous porn star, he was a guy like couch surfing with me. We're San Diego punk rock guys.
Yep.
And so, and I'm very proud of his career and his music. And so he had me guest on his album, and it was totally left field. It's like this almost EDM electronic music. So stuff like that, I like branching out and doing, if someone was like, hey, we want you to do a country song, or we want you to, can you write, hey, can you write some goth metal stuff? Like I've been sending stuff for the guys in the 69 Eyes that I think they're using.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so just anything that's not, I feel like I've got my fill of like Pussycat and LA Guns and that kind of stuff. And that's not to poo-poo on anybody in that scene. I feel like I'm still wearing that hat.
Yeah.
So anything, like I'm doing some stuff with the new Tiffany album.
Nice.
And
Johnny and Scotty.
Yeah, we did some stuff for her new record. And the Empty Streets EP that just came out yesterday on Cleopatra. And some stuff with hopefully the 69 Eyes.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So anything that I can, if it's punk rock or heavy metal, I just like to keep branching out. So I don't really have a one definitive answer as far as like one person, but as long as it's sort of outside of my wheelhouse, I think would be the best answer.
And Neon Coven's very similar to that with their kind of sound, with the stuff you were doing. And then Bobby, why don't you jump right in after this? But yeah, Neon Coven had that Depeche Mode electronic rock to it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're going to talk about this when it comes back to me, but that's definitely my style, which is one of the reasons I love that band so much.
And there'll be new Neon Coven this year too.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. Bobby.
So, Tracy's a good friend of has a good friend of mine, Adam Reaver. Adam does all of Tracy's stuff. Okay, so I live right near Adam. Adam does all my locking trems, and
Yeah.
Tracy's got his guitar over there. I was just with Kramer, with L. John Go, and all those guys.
Oh, I love Al John.
Oh, he's amazing.
The
Have you been over
Gibson
to the
Epiphone.
garage yet?
No, I need to. I haven't been
Dude,
yet.
I
Well,
spent so much. I on my second mortgage in my fucking house over there.
I actually just bought a new Gibson today.
I bought one yesterday.
Yeah, we could kiss that money goodbye.
Well, and then they're building me one. But the custom shop over there. Let me flip this
Well, yeah,
over.
the
to
guy is. Check it out. One of the custom shop guys. I think the main guy at
Yeah.
Gibson is Cody Higby.
Yep.
That's Tony's brother from Tom Kiefer.
Well, that's
My-
who is
another one of my
building
best
mine. So what I'm having built right now is a 74. It's basically a Randy with the neck on it is Butterfly in Life for my mom, tribute
Oh,
to my
that's
mom.
cool.
Locking Floyd, but it's not going to be, an Access. It's going to have Randy saying on it. The pickups are 68 Super Buckers.
Nice.
And
Perfect.
They're doing all the paraffin the way I want, so those guys hooked me up, and your buddy's doing it. But getting back, me being the gear whore, what are you playing now? What's your wood?
Well, I mean, you talking about Les. Well, I mean, I'm a Les Paul guy to death. I just bought, literally today. There's a Guitar Center exclusive. I don't know what it's called. It's just a standard. It's like a wine cherry red natural finish.
Yeah.
And then I think it's called a trad. Is it a traditional something? I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what? You're asking the wrong guy with everything because I don't know. Like people are like, what kind of tubes are you using? I'm like, I don't know. Whatever it came with. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
what kind of
dude.
strings are you
Whatever
using? I go,
sounds good.
whatever my tech put on. I don't know anymore. I don't know. But I'm a Les Paul guy to death, and I'll always play Gibson. Even when I was with other companies, I wouldn't do an exclusivity deal because I was like, look, when I was with Schecter and same thing with Dean, I was like,
Yeah.
I will play these guitars, but I'm going to half and half it because I'm just always a Paul guy. But, I run Marshall stuff predominantly.
Yeah.
And then Tracy turned me on to these head rush effects units.
Well, Adam,
Yeah.
too. He got me
Yeah,
hooked
yeah.
on him and everything.
So I'm pretty much modeling everything out of that. And I'll either use it as just the effects,
Yeah.
sort of as like a pedal board, or depending on what I'm using as an amp, I may just use that as the amp modeling, whatever the term is. What I don't know.
I'll throw a bone really to you. So I'm a Les Paul guy.
Yeah.
Adam does these brass saddles for a Paul. Changes.
Prevent string breakage.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Adam's just the shit on
Yeah,
everything.
no, and he's a really nice guy.
Oh, he's great. Love him. But yeah, that is just so cool on that end. J-Boy.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Ace, when from back in the day when you and I would always talk gear, one of the fun conversations that you and I had when you were with Dean is it was really only about getting the Cadillac because that was the
wanted
guitar you
Cadillac.
wanted.
I wanted the Cadillac. They have another model called, I believe, a Thoroughbred. That's a Les Paul-esque body shape. And Dean was great to me.
Is it still the V head on that? Like the Cadillac had that V
No,
head?
the Thoroughbred has sort of a tapered, like almost like a PRS type headstock.
Gotcha.
Which I didn't care for. I'm very headstock for me will make or break a guitar.
You and me both.
There are models of guitars where the body is beautiful and I'll play it, and the headstock looks to me displeasing visually, and I'm like, I don't want to play it.
Look, I looked at Kerry King's model that he's doing his new Dean right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
Is that for eating oysters? I mean,
Yeah, like,
the way
what
I
is
look-
that?
What the hell is
Suck
that?
oysters, right?
Yeah. But Dean, the company, the guitar company, they were so gracious to me. They gave me so many guitars, most of which I still have. I'm a big fan of the Cadillac model. I always just thought it looked classy for a pointy guitar.
Yeah.
And John Palumbo, who at the time was with Dean, was very gracious and kind of courted me. He was like, "Look, what do I got to do to get you to come over to Dean?" And I was like, "I don't know. Give me a guitar." And so, because I wasn't with anybody at the time, and I'm still a big fan of Dean Zielinski himself, even though he's not with Dean anymore. And they're, the what would you call it? The models that they have. I don't know. Again, I'm so lackluster. I don't know what to call it. I'm like, the body, the style, some of the body shapes that Dean is known for are classic now. I mean, fucking Dimebag Darrell. You get so many people. But it is interesting to see now everybody's going back to Gibson.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mustaine going to fucking Gibson.
Fucking
Right,
Hammett
dude.
just
Hammett.
went. Yeah.
Well, that didn't surprise me. Mustaine surprised me though.
Didn't you say that the only thing that was a little annoying about the Cadillac is it was difficult to fit it in your road case?
Yeah, I couldn't get it to fit in anything
Because of the V head.
The V head, and yeah, exactly. And I think I had some cases that the pointy undercutaway, whatever it's called, wouldn't fit in. So, I don't want to gripe about free gear that I love, but that was the thing. I was like, well, I got to travel it, and it wouldn't fit in anything other than the case it came in, and sometimes that's not conducive to travel.
Absolutely. And so the last thing for you, Ace, so we can let you continue on with your day. This is dominantly for me, but I really think the fans will love this shit. You and I are, you know it. Summer God. Because I hate the hot weather too and the mugginess. Anyway,
same.
So we're both big 69 Eyes fans.
Oh yeah.
You did a fucking fantastic documentary hosting the documentary on them. It really was excellent, Ace, for real. It's easy to say that to my buddy because you're my buddy.
Thank you.
You really did a great job.
Thanks.
So for fans that aren't familiar with that, you played in Yerke's band with Ashes when he was doing the Yerke 69 album with, Last Halloween and stuff like that.
Yeah, we toured that.
Did you hosting that documentary, because you do voiceover work, stem from playing with Yerke? Did it already happen first and then you played? Do you remember roughly how all that worked out?
Well, the narrating the documentary had nothing to do with being in his band, but Yerke's some of his all-time favorite bands are Faster Pussycat, LA Guns, and then from New York City, the Throbs, who I played with intermittently, some of the reunion shows or whatever you want to call it. And they actually have I think a show or two coming up that I'm not doing. I just can't make it. But the Throbs, that is. And so Yerke's, when I met him, Yerke's going like, "You're in all my favorite bands," And we had been acquainted for a while. And he'd come out, we'd go to the Rainbow, we'd go bar hopping and get fucked up and just talk about punk rock and talk about Typo Negative and heavy metal. And he would always say, we should start a band, we should do a band. And then when that solo album came out, he goes, can you put a band together for me? I said, sure. And then I think that cycled through, and then maybe, I'm trying to remember the timeline, but maybe a year later he goes, hey, we're doing a documentary, and I know you do voiceover, and clearly I'm a fan of the bands you're in. He was so gracious to be like, look, I'd be honored if you would narrate this documentary. And I said, man, I would love to. And I don't know if it was my best work because I'd never really done a documentary before, and so I didn't know how to approach it, but he wanted me to be kind of jovial. So I was like, the Pearl of the Baltic Sea, 69 Eyes, because I wanted to go at it like an octave lower and be like the 69 Eyes, the spookiest band from Europe. But he was like, no.
Time forgot.
Yeah, the time forgot. And he's like, no, bring it up. So I was like, are you sure you're a goth metal band? It's like, all right, here we are, smiling and boisterous, So, but it was great. It was cool. It looks, good on my resume, and it's cool because I'm a fan,
That's great.
Absolutely. Well, Ace, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Congratulations on all the success with Guns and the upcoming albums, man. And
thank you so much.
Good luck with everything. Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Forever, man. And love to the pity at home as well.
Yeah.
Always gotta send a shout out to the fur baby.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Milo, this one's for you.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks again, guys.
Talk to you soon, brother.
All right, thanks, bro.
Thank you so much, everybody. You've been watching the Metal Summit. We're gonna wrap it up soon.